How many new shows in 2021? The latest from Podnews.net with Memberful, helping you build reliable, recurring revenue from your podcast. Spotify said it added 1.2 million new podcasts to Spotify's catalogue in 2021. Anchor continues to drive 80% of the new podcasts being published to Spotify every year, the company says. Meanwhile, Daniel J. Lewis's Podcast Industry Insights suggests Apple Podcasts has grown by half that, just 570,000 new shows. There's a big slowdown in June when Anchor stopped automatically adding shows to Apple Podcasts. Only 17,000 new shows have been added in December. 81,900 were added in December 2020. Podcast Index added 466,000 shows in the past 6 months. It added 3.1 million this year, but that's not surprising given the index launched in September last year. And unlike the other two, shows are mainly added automatically to the Podcast Index, either discovered from open RSS feeds or submitted by podcasters or others. Podcast Review from the Los Angeles Review of Books has published its 10 best podcasts of 2021, with Whole Country given the #1 crown. In Vulture, Nick Quah has also published his best podcast of 2021 list, as judged by 150 creators, producers and hosts. Maintenance Phase was by far the podcast that earned the most votes in the survey, he says. And a short poem for you. Looking for something new as we start 2022? Podjobs is where to be. You can post your new jobs for free. If you can't find your next move, tell us how we can improve, because there's no need for a costly imposition if you're looking for a new position. Gosh. In podcast news, it's all going on at KCRW tomorrow. 40 years after Deirdre O'Donoghue debuted her show Bent Music, KCRW invites listeners and fans to tune in to hear that show again from 1982, as well as the entire run of the Bent by Nature podcast, the new podcast that documents Deirdre's musical life. You can hear Bent by Nature from noon tomorrow on Santa Monica's KCRW on 89.9, and then a rerun of the first show. And get a better broadcast, podcast and video voice from Peter Stewart has published an episode every day in 2021. 5-minute episodes helping you with breathing and reading, inflection and scripting. He tells us season 2 starts tomorrow, possibly because he realises we only promote shows once per season. Anyway, nicely done. This podcast is brought to you by Memberful newsletters. Who would read those, I wonder? Well, you can now send paid email newsletters directly through Memberful without needing to connect to a third-party email provider. And if you want to, you can publish your paid newsletter content to a Memberful-hosted members-only website as well. It says here, Memberful fades into the background as your brand shines. Setup is super simple, and you can find out more at memberful.com. That's memberful.com. And that's the latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. Happy New Year.